All right, so I just wanted to comment on this little story. It says that the Mets owner, the super multi-billionaire Steve Cohen, has looked into what it would cost to add a retractable roof, and it would be around $800 million. I'm guessing that's to make the entire climate controlled area inside rather than just trying to add the roof on top like they did with T-Mobile Park in Seattle. I'm just going to give my opinion on what I think is happening right now with the MLB, with retractable roofs, with the Mets. There are a few concepts that the Mets had back in 1998 and then more recently, possibly looking at Citi Field with a retractable roof. It says Mets owner Steve Cohen is the one who looked into building a retractable roof for Citi Field. No surprise, since he'll consider anything to improve the Mets fans' experience. The word is Cohen was told it would cost $800 million to add a retractable roof, which seems to have given him pause to the point where he is currently considering it a missed opportunity. It seems that this is less realistic and more incredibly wealthy dude who just wanted to know what it would cost, but it is fun to consider. So that is the article, and you can kind of see the design on a modern retractable roof Citi Field. $800 million is a ton of money for a renovation. We've seen these renovations get crazy with the NFL. It's getting over $1 billion with some of them to do complete stadium rebuilds. But I've heard Yankees fans, I've heard Mets fans, I've heard a lot of fans from the northern states when it comes to the MLB. They're getting more angry. And guys, let's be honest, people in general are getting more soft. I'm not blaming people. I'm saying this is our evolution. The kids that are born right now, this second, are going to be softer than we were because they're going to have better technology growing up than we did. It's just evolution. There's no stopping it. We're just going to get softer and softer and softer because things are easier, easier, and easier. And that's why you're seeing all of these domes, all of these climate-controlled stadiums going up in the NFL. You know, the next big thing, I think, with college football and the NFL is to follow the European super soccer stadium model that Camp Nou is doing right now, to where it's a massive circular overhang with a circle digital scoreboard on the interior. That's the next thing when it comes to college football and the NFL. The NFL is also going to have the retractable roofs as well. But back to the MLB, yes, there's a lot of weather, especially the last few years. It seemed like there was a rain out every other day last year, and fans are just getting pissed about it. They're tired of the rain interrupting things. You know, you had the Washington Nationals thing yesterday. I'll be honest, guys, and I don't want to seem mean. Like, I understand if you're waiting 4 hours in rain, it's bad. I get it. But they were acting like it was the second coming of World War III yesterday. There was a situation where, again, I know you were making fans wait in that Nationals-Mets game for 4 hours, but it's like, dude, when I was younger, I probably had 4 or 5 games I went to, MLB games, to where I was waiting 3 or 4 hours, and we didn't complain like it was, World War III. It just seems like people are so soft now. Like, I get it. Waiting 4 hours is tough, but it's not like we're dying here, okay? It's going to be okay. But, guys, I don't want to go on a tangent about that. We're just going to talk about the retractable roof. Do I think it's going to happen for the Mets? No, I don't. I think it's unnecessary, and it would cost too much money. I would like to see a potential estimate on if they did the T-Mobile. And honestly, if you're the Mets, would you consider doing the T-Mobile thing where all you're doing is just putting the roof over top? It's not climate controlled, but you really don't need it to be climate controlled. New York in April is dicey. It is cold. But once you get past that, the roof is installed just to protect people in June, in July, in August, really every month, from the rain, rainouts, rain delays, things like that. So would you maybe chop off $300 million of that price tag if you didn't make it climate controlled, because you have to remember, if you're going to make it climate controlled, you would have to close the entire stadium. So that adds to the price tag, and I'm guessing that's why the estimate was at $800 million. Just the way things are today with how much, inflation is, things like that, it's going to cost a ton, but you also have to build up the sides of the stadium to close it. It's like a seal. You have to seal it off, build up the walls so the entire stadium is inner circled and closed up, and you can climate control the entire thing. It's just like having a roof on your house. Obviously, it's sealed so you can climate control it. You're not just going to put some type of thatched leaves on it, then it would let the warm air in. So, when it comes to the Mets, the Yankees, they both, back in the day when they were designing their new stadiums, they had retractable roof proposals. The Yankees originally had a dome proposal as well, because they were worried about the weather, but there was kind of a popular retractable roof with both Mets and the Yankees. They both end up building their new stadiums, opening them in 2009, and here we are today. So, as people get softer and softer, it's just inevitable. We are going to want things pampered. We are going to want climate-controlled stuff. It's the idea, why am I sitting in a rain delay when we could have a roof over this thing with modern technology? It makes no sense, but I do think, and a lot of people will agree with me on this, that it is better to watch a baseball game outside. It's a better experience, even if you have a retractable roof. It isn't, and the roof is open, it's still not the same. It's still kind of an indoor type. You feel like you're in a bird cage almost, even if it's open, because you've got those big walls and things like that, rather than the whole stadium just being open. But that is the current situation on the Mets and the Yankees. I don't think we've seen, for all this talk of all these teams trying to add a roof, like originally it was the Cleveland Browns, maybe the Panthers, all these teams just putting like a roof on their stadium. We really haven't seen a team actually do it, like legitimately go from a wide open stadium and completely redesign it to add a roof when you look at the MLB. So it seems like a lot of this is just all talk. I think it's due to the price tag. And if I was an MLB team, I would be looking at that T-Mobile model. I do think they kind of have the best of both worlds. Being in Seattle, you've got very mild weather. It's never going to get too hot. Some places like Arizona, Texas, they would never get away with doing something like that, with it always being open and not having to worry about it being 300 degrees outside, even if the roof is closed because it's not climate controlled. But I think New York, it would suit them a lot better because it's not always 90 degrees. And then on top of that, even if it's hot, you could just bring the retractable roof over, cover and shield the fans. It would immediately cool it down, even if it wasn't completely climate controlled on the interior. That would be an interesting design for the Mets. But it does seem like if Steve Cohen wants to do this with how grandiose he is, he would go full throttle. He would add the roof and he would build it up and make it completely climate controlled, and then possibly, make it a better experience in April and in October for the Mets, in the playoffs with New York. But I think that's a great thing about baseball, man. Like, if you're in New York in the playoffs, it should be 51 degrees or 47 degrees. It should be cold. So, I don't know. We'll have to see if they end up doing anything. Again, it's really the Mets and Yankees fans I've heard complain about it. I know there were a few teams last year, like it was Cleveland and Detroit. It seemed like they were playing double headers every other day just because the weather was so crazy last year. And now with the MLB, don't get me wrong, I like the pitch clock, but it does seem like it's a little bit of a worse product just because the games go by so fast. It seems almost like kiddie league a little bit, especially with those double headers. The games are just like, it's like an hour and the game is done. It's like, it reminds me like I play like 5-inning games in second grade. It's like, this is what I'm watching. And then these players still want to do the 7-inning 3-year-old doubleheaders. Wait, hold on. The players want to do 7-inning doubleheaders, but they don't want to take anything out of their paycheck. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. No. They still want their $30 million, but we have to we have to play the 7-inning Little League doubleheaders. We have to have the fake runner on second base. We have to cut the game time down to 2 hours, but they still get $30 million. Yay. Listen, I like the players, but some of this stuff is ridiculous with them demanding all this crap and things like that. And then they say they love baseball, but then they want the ghost runner, even though that's completely fake. At least take away the ghost runner. At the minimum, at least take away the ghost runner. Now that games are like an hour long, you'd think they would do that. But either way, guys, I don't think this is happening. It seems pretty far out there. If I was the Mets, I would look into that T-Mobile type retractable roof where you still get the natural airflow. It's not climate controlled, but you can also completely eliminate any type of rain delay or issue in that sense. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.